how do we become more creative and solution-oriented in our thinking and approach?
I always had a lot of ideas which I couldn't somehow materialize. A well-defined problem is a key to success.
Fritz for Future, Henkel's Sustainability Podcast.
Today is a special day in Fritz for Future history. On Fritz for Future, we would like to share sustainable solutions from around the world and speak with the international experts developing them. This is why, every now and then, we will now be recording episodes in English as well, starting with today's episode. To find future solutions, we have to support all the good ideas that people around the world have. And we need to encourage them to bring these ideas to life. This is also the basic idea of the Do. I love this very active name. The Do, an impact organization, supports companies in empowering their employees to take ideas into action towards a more green and innovative economy. In this episode, we are going to talk about the Do's approach and how they help turn ideas into solutions. For this, I have two wonderful guests joining the podcast today. With us is Anna Rojan, who works for the Do as a senior program designer. Warm welcome to you.
Hello, thank you very much for having me. Honored to be here.
And my second guest today is Aleksandra Zolkowska. She works as a digital marketing specialist for Henkel consumer brands. Aleksandra had the opportunity to be part of Henkel's Sustainability Incubator Lab, which was facilitated by the Do and came up with an interesting idea for circular economy. Warm welcome to you as well.
Hi, everyone. I'm really happy to be here.
So let's start with you, Anna, and let's get a little bit deeper into the work of the Do. Why was the Do founded?
Well, we have to acknowledge that we live in a world that is facing rapid change, for example, in technology, and we're also facing complex and interconnected challenges like climate change, for example. And we know that to secure the future of generations to come, we have to start changing today, basically. And we need to balance profit also with people and planet in mind. And that awareness, I would say, has been acknowledged. But we have to also acknowledge that the change we need is very hard, and getting to the future we all want is hard. And very few really know how to get there and how to drive action. And that is basically why the Do exists. We empower organizations and individuals with the skills, tools, and mindsets to become an active part in creating a more sustainable and socially equitable future.
Okay, but what's in it for the companies working with the Do?
Well, I would say that we are grounded in the belief that business is a force for good. That means we really have to also acknowledge that companies can play a huge part in driving change. And for the companies we work with, we basically create business opportunities by fostering the potential of their people, while at the same time creating positive and sustainable impact. How can that look like? We develop different programs with our partners, basically, that really try to turn strategies into palpable actions and really turn people into active doers. And in this very hands-on approach, we try to turn the theoretical concepts of sustainability, for example, into day-to-day behaviors and also concrete products and service that can solve real problems we're facing today. And we do that by enabling the people with the right hard and soft skills, mindsets, and behaviors.
And can you see a development? Are there more companies interested in this idea of the Do?
Absolutely. I do think that what I mentioned earlier, there is a huge need for that change. And companies today really acknowledge that they need to change to reach the ambition of a better future. And there is right now still that delta basically of knowing that you have to change, that you have to move, but not really knowing how to get there. And this is exactly where we come in and where we support and where we create basically the space for new connections within a company to be made, to then drive new ideas forward and to really foster an energy and a drive towards creating change.
Sounds like a really great support. So, Aleksandra, you joined the Sustainability Incubator Lab, which the duo conducted for Henkel.
Fact check.
First of all, can you please explain what the Sustainability Incubator Lab is?
Yeah, of course. So the Sustainability Incubator Lab is an 8-week learning program guided by experts such as Anna, for example. And as a participant, I had a chance to explore and experiment with ideas around the topic of sustainability, something I have always been very passionate about. And what really stood out to me in the program was the opportunity to network with 25 colleagues of mine from Henkel all over the world. We were all from different departments and we were able to bring different perspectives into discussion. And what we were essentially doing was exploring new opportunities, along with the support of the experts, of course, and on how to make an impact and experiment with those concrete ideas, what Anna mentioned, in order to drive sustainable change. That's how I would describe the program.
And what were your expectations before your first day in this lab?
My expectations were kind of a mix of excitement, curiosity, and a very, very strong sense of purpose. I envisioned this dynamic and collaborative environment where these passionate individuals, as myself, from diverse backgrounds, we would come together to explore and innovate solutions for all those pressing sustainability challenges. I didn't really have any structured ideas before joining the program. I always had a lot of ideas which I couldn't somehow materialize. So I expected the program to kind of provide some frameworks that would help my exploration. And I also looked forward to engaging with the experts who would share their insights and inspire us maybe to think critically and creatively about our role in driving this sustainable change. But overall, my expectations were centered around this anticipation of this transformative and this very empowering experience, where I could gain all those insights and develop my innovative solutions and, in a sense, contribute to Henkel's sustainability journey in this very meaningful and very impactful manner, I would say.
And you had a very impactful idea in this lab, so can you explain this?
Yeah, absolutely. So I came up with this idea for a mobile app to tackle the issue of growing global waste. It sounds very fancy, but
it is.
Yes, but it is seemingly a very simple concept, to be honest. This is basically an app that allows you, a consumer, to scan a product and basically tells you how to dispose it properly. But the story behind it and its purpose, it's of course more complex. So during the course of the program, we focused a lot on problem identification. And one of the issues I have been able to research and examine was this globally growing waste, which is closely connected to the consumerism culture we live in and the efforts the companies make to increase sales and production. So with this assumption, it is really hard to talk about reducing the waste we produce. And I have taken this approach to dive more into those solutions that can help convert the waste into energy. But in order to do that, the waste has to be sorted properly to extract the most valuable fuel from it. Therefore, we have to, start of this process with our consumers and make those efforts to educate them on how to dispose waste properly. So this app is a great tool to do that, but it's also a great tool for us, for Henkel, to collect data on our consumer habits and reward our consumers for their loyalty to our products, but also for their sustainable mindset.
Okay, so let's explain it a little bit more concrete. So if I have garbage, I can scan this with your app, your idea, and I don't have to ask myself anymore, okay, where to throw it. Is that right?
Yes, that's basically the idea of the app.
Okay, that's great. That's really a good solution as well for my family when we all standing in the kitchen and talking about, okay, where to throw it. Could you explain a little bit more the process? So you decided to take the waste topic, and then what's going on after that? So how to find a solution or to get an idea?
Oh, actually, the process on how to develop this idea was very long and a difficult journey, I would say. I initially started off with a completely different idea on a completely different topic, which was related to water scarcity. But the approach of the program was to focus on the problem identification first. And once I started framing my problem using the tools provided by the experts, I have been able to come up with different solutions. A well-defined problem is a key to success. That's what I've learned. And then when the ideation phase and the research I've been doing, when I progressed into that, I have spoken to a lot of colleagues of mine. I have even spoken to the consumers to kind of step into their shoes. And there it was. There it was waiting for me. I have noticed that many people want to contribute to waste reduction, but they simply do not know how to do it properly or how to start their journey. Also, my peer group was very helpful in this process in defining my problem and later on the solution. Because apart from the live sessions we had in the program with experts, we also had a chance to meet in peer groups with our colleagues and discuss our ideas week to week. So that helped a lot with my ideas as well.
So this explanation matches with my next question for Anna. So how did you guide the participants to their solutions with a serious impact?
Yeah, absolutely. And we always design our programs basically with that serious impact we want to create in mind. And I think on a high level, our task is to channel that energy, that ambition, and that purpose that Aleksandra also just has shown and displayed with the right tools towards solutions. And as I think listening to her, I could really feel the responsibility she took over also as an active entrepreneur in creating something with impact. And in the program, we basically have a structure of, on the one side, the sustainability innovation methodology, and on the other side, the learning by doing approach, so to say. And maybe I can explain both of those elements in a little bit more detail. When we talk about sustainable innovation, it was very important for us to establish the theoretical foundation and the frameworks needed to understand how oneself can develop solutions. And the four basic elements there in sustainable innovation would be sustainability, desirability, viability, and feasibility. Those are fancy sounding terms, but maybe I can elaborate a little bit more what that means. We took the participants, the entrepreneurs, through understanding sustainability first. So minding the planet, what does that mean really? How can, for example, life cycle thinking, so what would be the life cycle of a product? How can that inform new ideas where you could come in and do something better? We also established terms like systems thinking, for example, how different systems influence each other really. And that was the foundation also to really think about the problem that Aleksandra also hinted towards a couple of times, which bridges to that other part of desirability basically, or having people in mind as well and the end user of a solution. And the approach or mindset would be to really try to understand what the user needs and what the big challenges for users would be in order to then help them with a solution, really. And bridging that, so to say, with sustainability was the baseline of the program. And then considering that we are also in a business context, and we also want to be aware of basically the business opportunities, we did consider viability, which basically means how can business models be generated that then also turn into profits. And some of the elements we discussed there, for example, was the concept of circular economy and circular design. And that was also then matched with the last element of feasibility. So basically, how can ideas be really implemented? And the way to do that in general, or an approach there, is the so-called lean innovation model, where you really try to map out ideas and then iterate them, as Aleksandra also has shared earlier, that there was a lot of iterating, so to say, for her approach as well. And those four elements came together to then drive the idea forward. And one last thing I would like to share is that when you drive an idea forward, it's so important to not just end at the idea, but to really take other people on board and to basically use storytelling to convince others how important it is to really do this and to implement this, because innovation really means implementing an idea and not just stopping at the idea. So maybe on the sustainable innovation part of the program, on the learning by doing approach, I can maybe just quickly say, adding to what Aleksandra already mentioned, we use different formats in the program. We had an online learning platform providing theoretical inputs, basically also examples from the Henkel, Cosmos and other industries. We used very tailored project assignments to drive the development of the idea forward, provided different tools and really methods that could easily be used in the different idea contexts. Then there were those different peer action groups where we really also tried to, in a structured way, enable collaboration between the participants of the program and really trying to get different perspectives together to create better ideas. And the last bit was basically the online sessions where we as innovation experts and coaches came in and gave examples, tried to foster interaction again, and really make the content more palpable and more applicable.
Wow, that sounds so interesting. Now let's give all listeners some tips, whether they are employees, CEOs, or just like to develop their own sustainable solutions.
How to start? Top tips.
Anna, what is your advice to anyone who would like to come up with a project idea or solution to a problem? How do we become more creative and solution-oriented in our thinking and approach?
I have 4 answers to that question. The first answer would be, it's about falling in love with the problem and not the solution, actually. So it's very much about changing that perspective and starting with the core problem to be able to address it with the appropriate solution. And that also means, as innovators, we basically have to be empathetic with our users and really connect to the human need of their problem. The second thing is that I'm suggesting would be to really daring to try things out and having the courage to go out there, not being perfect, taking your idea and showing it to other people and receiving feedback, then integrating that feedback. And that basically relates to also a failure culture, or being open to try, to fail, and to learn from that. Number 3 would also be to stay open to new ideas and letting go a little bit of your own ego, or of being right or getting it right or perfect the first time. And also when others bring in their ideas, to be open to that and try to integrate that. And a very good exercise that I can suggest here is to say yes more often and leave the buts out a little bit. So as soon as we say but, we basically already close off someone else's idea. And so I highly encourage to say yes and more often. And that works together with the 4th thing I would like to suggest, really working together with others that also have a passion or a purpose related to the topic you're working on, and really integrating other people's perspective and collaborating together.
Great. And I love your first tip, to fall in love with the problem. That sounds great. So let's say one of our listeners has an idea regarding a sustainability topic already. How can they take that idea to the next level?
My very first suggestion would be to really start talking to a potential user. So if you don't have someone in mind who should use your innovation or your idea, then that's your first task. But if you have someone in mind, go out to that person and ask open questions and really listen carefully. Ask why a couple of times to really get to the core need of that user. And once you've understood that, go wild with your ideas. And then as soon as you have an idea, go out again to that user and ask if that idea matches actually what that person had in mind. So dare to go out, do it, build something like a prototype that can be presentation or a flyer or even a click dummy, and really test if it works. And even if it doesn't work, then you even have learned something valuable as well. And so iterating is really super essential here. And the last thing maybe is, as I mentioned earlier, an innovation journey as well. It's taxing, it's challenging, and you will need to find allies or other people that can help you on that journey. And at the end of the day, the people you surround yourself with oftentimes matter more than the idea itself. It's then more about the team or the people who help drive an idea forward that make it successful in the end.
Which skills should people or companies bring if they want to work with you?
To begin with, curiosity. And I think that relates to an interest and openness for the potential of an uncertain future. It also relates to maybe an optimism or an excitement of what is yet to be created and to be achieved. And I think it also very much is about a sense of self-agency and responsibility, which means the willingness to really take over responsibility and doing something and stepping up to that task, which also goes along, and that's maybe the last point, which goes along with a certain courage and also the willingness to be uncomfortable, because in change there always is uncomfortableness, but that also means that some magic is happening, but that needs courage. And so those are, I would say, the elements needed to at least start the journey with us.
And not always say but.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, Aleksandra, what are your top 3 learnings from the Sustainability Incubator Lab?
I think one of the key takeaways from the Sustainability Incubator Lab for me was the importance of adopting this holistic approach to sustainability. Through all those engaging discussions that I've had, the expert guidance I've received, and the collaboration with my peers, I kind of gained this deeper understanding of how sustainability encompasses not only environmental concerns, but also this social and economic dimensions. Also, another significant learning I had was this value of cross-functional collaboration, I would call it that. So working alongside 25 peers of mine from very diverse backgrounds, and they were from different departments, they were doing completely different things than me. This has provided me this very unique opportunity to leverage a wide range of expertise. And I think for this collaboration, I learned to appreciate different viewpoints, to kind of harness this collective creativity and integrate insights from various disciplines, kind of generate more innovation, more innovative and effective solutions. This experience has really empowered me to approach sustainability challenges with a more kind of versatile and inclusive mindset. And I think the last one would be this importance of effective communication and advocacy in driving sustainable change. My background as a digital marketing specialist, this kind of allowed me to contribute by translating this complex sustainability concepts into compelling narratives that can resonate with consumers. I learned how to leverage digital channels to kind of raise awareness, educate, engage stakeholders, and thereby amplifying the impact of our sustainability initiatives. So this skill has definitely equipped me to be more effective advocate for sustainable practices, both within Henkel, but also in a broader public discourse, I would say.
Sounds great.
What's next?
Let us in on your vision for your project idea. What are your next steps regarding your app?
I think the vision for the idea for the project would be to launch it.
Yes.
I would love to launch it, but now the steps I'm taking are basically feature refinement. I am now gathering feedback from my mentors, my peers, my potential users to kind of further enhance the features and functionalities of the app. I am also working a lot with data and data collection and integration, because to provide this accurate and comprehensive information to consumers, I will have to collaborate with third-party organizations, databases to collect the data on product sustainability and what we can basically give our consumers. And this integrating this data into the app database would be a crucial step to ensure this reliability of information we would provide. Then, of course, comes the projects of the user interface and experience design, also development and testing. Then, of course, in the meantime, the partnerships, outreach, launch, marketing, then feedback, user feedback, and iteration. So it's a long process. I found myself in a situation that I'm putting a lot of work and effort into actually make it real business case. So I'm really glad I'm here with it now. And the vision is hopefully to launch it one day. That would be a dream.
A dream for me as a consumer as well. So would be so great. I love this idea very, very much. So thank you both, Anna and Aleksandra, for being my guests today. I loved this episode and I love to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
And if you enjoyed this episode of Fritz for Future, Henkel's sustainability podcast, leave us a 5-star rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Do you know of any innovative sustainability project, interesting guests, or have specific questions you would like to know more about? Then send us a message to fritzforfuture@henkel.com. We are looking forward to having you join us for our next episode. I'm Janine, your host, and this is Fritz for Future. Take care.
Fritz for Future, Henkel's Sustainability Podcast.